this is one of the most unique matchups that I can remember the Texans having in a long, long time. It's pivotal despite being early in the season. We're about halfway through the season, so there's this matchup against the Denver Broncos is going to be interesting. It's going to tell a lot about the season because if not now, when? We've been saying for weeks that the Texans are going to have to beat good teams. If not now, then when exactly does it happen? Do you consider Jacksonville a good team? Is that going to salvage? If you lose this game, you beat Jacksonville, and then you can get up to that 5-5 against the Tennessee Titans. But if not now, when for the Texans? I think it's an interesting question. It is the Locker Room, #1 source for Texans digital content. I am Landry Locker. Shout out to everyone, and I do mean everyone who joined us yesterday at Spanky's Sharpstown. It was another great time. Got to meet some new people, got to see some familiar faces. And we look forward to being out there again in the coming months. So, and a lot of talk was about this game. I don't think the confidence level is high. Obviously, something bizarre is going on with the line. The Texans, they get some weapons back. Some weapons returned to the practice field, which we'll get to in a sec. But first, shout out to Sleeper. And I do have an interesting one this week for Sleeper. Shout out to Sleeper for doing everything they do for sports. Best sports app in the game, best scoring app. People yesterday were telling me they use it as their scoring app, and it was hard at first because you have the muscle memory of if you're someone who's constantly looking at scores. But once you get used to it, it's the best scoring app in the game, and high-low just makes every game better to watch. So you can get a $20 free entry if you've never tried it. I promise you will. Very simple. I'll show you. I'm about to put up one of my higher-lower entries in a sec, and that $20, you can also combine it with the 100% match up to $100. Use that promo code Locker. So here's what we're going with this week, or at least what I'm going with. I don't know if you want to tell me or not. I've been doing all right. But I am going with Jalen Knoll higher than 21.5 yards. That could be one catch with the chemistry he and CJ Stroud have on the deep ball. I'm going with higher Xavier Hutchinson, 18.5 yards. I know the other guys are coming back, but they seem to have some chemistry going. And then if Woody Marks doesn't have 14.5 yards receiving, then we have some serious questions about Nick Caley, or perhaps that injury acted up. Nick. That should be, he should be getting 5-6 catches a week by the time they get that going. And I'm going with higher Bo Nix, 204.5 yards passing. Just kind of low, not a big Bo Nix guy, but that's what I'm going with. You can get in the game, Sleeper app, the free $20, and then use that promo code Locker as well. So I want to get into the advantages that the Texans have in this game because it's an interesting matchup in that the Broncos, they pass protect very well and they rush the passer very well. It kind of seems like two things that could be big problems for the Texans. So I think there's two advantages that the Texans have, one of which I think there's some question marks about, but advantage one is obvious. They're at home. That's why they're favored. They're favored because they're at home. Typically, when a team is favored by 1.5, that means if they went to the other team's spot, then they would not be favored. But they're favored. They're at home. They were at home last week, so the routine has been perfect for them. So that's advantage number one. Advantage number two is Nico Collins is back and Patrick Surtain is not playing. That's advantage number two. Now, let's hear from Nico Collins. And I got to confess, I don't feel as confident that Nico Collins is just going to go off. And he really hasn't done much this season compared to what we've become used to seeing Nico Collins do. That's might not be an indictment on him, although he has had some big moments where fumbled away the game against the Jags and had the drop against Seattle. Really hasn't produced. Probably the target share a little bit lower than it should be. But I just don't have the feeling that Nico Collins is going to go off without Surtain. But I also wouldn't be surprised if he did. I just feel like in the past, he's definitely going to eat. Hadn't been the case thus far. And I find that a little bit interesting. Let's hear from Nico Collins. Let's hear what he has to say about getting back on the field, as well as missing Surtain.
How are you feeling now?
Man, I feel great. Blessed to be off the protocol.
Feeling good, man. Excited about this week. Great matchup. Denver coming in. Great team, man. So excited to be back, though.
Did you have some pretty bad symptoms? What were some things you experienced with this concussion?
Oh, yeah, I did. I hit my head hard, just regular head, hitting the ground hard, just seeing just little flashes, whatever, just what it is.
Hey, bro.
I'm all good now, that's all that matters, and ready to play this week.
A lot of people have been talking about how now that you're back and Christian Kirk is back, with the really guys stepping up while you were out, that this offense can become a little more all around. How do you see that?
Yeah, it's the same, man. Great, man. Everybody stepping up, which is a great thing. That's what you want as a team. When you're nervous call, you want to go out and operate and go step up and make plays, man. I'm glad to see my boys out there making plays, the entire team, man, both sides of the ball. One guy missed, but you got to continue to go, So I'm glad I'm seeing everybody, feel good, getting their groove, get ready for the matchup in Denver.
We know what you can do. Do you get fired up watching the young guys kind of emerge a little bit?
Man, for sure. I feel like there's no better feeling than seeing your teammates, your brothers go out there, do what they love, make plays, celebrate, laugh. And that's the point of it, you know what I'm saying? It's the same game you play your entire life, man. But seeing the boys go out there and spin, man, it's just a great feeling, for sure.
Nico, it doesn't look like they're going to have Patrick Surtain this week. Does that disappoint you at all, not being able to have that matchup?
Nah, I mean, it is what it is. I wish nobody missed a game. I just wish speed recovery with him, man, with his pec, whatever he got going on, issues, But, definitely, it was going to be a great matchup, always good on good, and that's what you want, in this point in this league. You're going to go against guys like that, all pro corners, So, man, it sucks that he's not out there, man, but speed recovery on his game.
5 yards is the over under for Nico Collins. That's it. It should be a given, right? It should be a given, right? I'm saying right. So obviously it's not a given, but it should be a given. Like I should be pounding the table saying bet everything you own on Nico Collins having 65 yards. That's crazy, right? 65 yards for what we thought Nico Collins was. Like even with Bobby Slowick, we would have never said that.
Damn it, Bobby.
And it's just like maybe we'll see. They got to get that right. DJ Bieneme was hammering that the other day. There's a reason. And I know that I think DeMeco and Kaylee took exception with it. Nah, this guy needs to be the offense needs to start with Nico Collins. They're obsessed with running the ball. Make it an extension of the run game. I used to always roll my eyes when Mike Leach would say that. The short pass game is an extension of the run game, but in this situation, it probably should be. It's also a way to get your best player involved. I'm not sitting here saying my feelings are proportionate to reality. Anyone who listens to this, watches this, they know that's not the truth. But good God, Nico Collins, no Patrick Surtain, 65 yards. That should be a hammer. I didn't even put it in my sleeper pick. They got to get that going. Now, this might be one of the reasons why Nick Caley, he's the one that's going to be in charge of this. And there's trust issues with Nick Caley. I asked him about blending in the guys who are returning with the guys who are coming off a good game. Here's what Nick Caley had to say.
Kirk and Nico coming back, obviously that's good. But the guys got it going on Sunday, so it not kind of being able to blend all that in and not have the it come at the sake of like Noel or Higgins, who seem to be fun in their
Yeah, I mean, look, we're happy that they're back. We're excited that they're back. The other guys, everybody stepped up and did a great job too. We have a lot of faith. We have a deep wide receiver room that are continually getting better, and so we have faith in all those guys. But yeah, we're glad to have Nico and CK back out there, and the other guys keep going at the same, continuing to improve. And I think the more we're out there, the more we have an opportunity to really build cohesiveness together as a group. And again, we got a pretty deep receiver room, so we're lucky for that, and definitely thankful we get these two guys back too to join us.
All right, we'll see. I mean, depth is great. I want to see these guys eat too. I want to see the right guys eat and stuff like that. But Nico, you got to feed the beast. You got to feed the beast. It shouldn't be too hard to get the ball short. We actually kind of rolled our eyes at times because Bobby Slowick was throwing too many sideways passes and reverses. I want that. At this point, I want to feel good about the number one receiver on the team. I don't want to feel like he's just someone who's just out there. To where the offense, they're actually spreading it around, and you should be able to spread it around too. There's a balance. Maybe I'm asking for a lot. Maybe some would say it's kind of contradicting to say feed the beast and then spread the ball. No, it's not. You can do both. It's allowed. My fear though is, and I appreciate everyone for rolling through with the special time. Last night was Halloween. We had the gathering. So I just decided to move it up to little 10 a.m. Get ready for a game. I'm not a fan of like pregame shows and stuff, but I think the whole week is a pregame show. You react on Monday, Tuesday, you go on to the next team. You break down the big things. Like just here's a pregame show. You don't need that. A lot of times it's always like the generic, they got to win the turnover battle. Pregame shows are a beating. They're a beating. Random tangent there, but they got to feed the beast. You got to feel better about that than Nico. And then you have someone else important that I think we need to keep a close eye on, who was on the practice field yesterday. And there's something really weird going on with him. If we want to follow the money, we've talked about the Texans being favored. That's weird. Nico Collins over under yards 65. That's weird. Dalton Schultz, he's returned to practice, but he's been banged up the last couple of weeks. I just have a hard time thinking he's going to get through a game smoothly with everything that he's going through and everything that he's got to do and all the dependency on him and how physical that position is, especially with Denver. It's going to be tough for me to imagine Dalton Schultz just getting through a game clean. And that's a little bit concerning because the tight end position is extremely thin. Here's Nick Caley talking about that, though. I guess he doesn't think so.
We got a good room of really smart, hardworking guys. They're all versatile. They're cross-trained. You know, some people say fullback. Some people say, F. Y. It's F and Y. I mean, those guys are interchangeable. They're all cross-trained. We do that from the time we get here to spring because things like this happen, and you lose guys. It's the National Football League. So got a lot of faith in them. They're tough. They're smart. They're hardworking. They're always prepared. They're ready to back each other up, and I got a lot of faith in those guys, and Jake Moreland does a good job with those guys.
All right, there you go. So they're tough. They're smart. They're hardworking. Jake Moreland does a good job with those guys. I mean, it's Harrison Bryant, and I don't even know what. It's not. It's very, very thin. And the counter to that has been the jumbo package with Stover and everyone out. The Blake Fisher jumbo package is getting a lot of attention. Here's what Kaylee had to say about that.
Blake's done a good job for us. There's a lot of carryover in terms of the way we hit blocks at tight end or, angle drives or angle drives. So whether you're a tackle, whether you're a tight end, whether you're a guard, we speak the same language in terms of our run game fundamentals, our core blocks, reach blocks, cutoff blocks, angle drive blocks. He's obviously a part of gap double teams and combination blocks. If it's a tram block with the tight end and he's a tackle, he's the inside element. Now he's the outside element. But the footwork and the technique is consistent. He's done a really good job just embracing it and getting better, and he's really helped us. I'm proud of the way he's competed. It's been a nice niche for him and for us, and he's done a good job. He's got some shifts out there. We get him moving across the line of scrimmage and stuff, or across the ball and stuff like that too. So, he's helped us. He's an unselfish guy.
How big of a part of the offense is that going to be? It is interesting that the opposing offensive coordinator / head coach, Sean Payton, they just signed a 41-year-old tight end in the same draft class, from the same draft class as DeMeco Ryans. And when he was asked why, his reasoning was, we don't want to be in jumbo.
I knew he'd been training. I know he's in great shape, and he's a tremendous blocker. I think you don't want to get caught where, man, it's got to be jumbo.
Okay, so that what the Texans are doing right now, what we like, is what Sean Payton wants to avoid. And I'm not sitting here saying that Sean Payton is the end-all, be-all. I'm just saying he's a pretty smart guy. He's a pretty respected offensive guy. I think he does a decent job of evolving, so he's not like stuck in one way. Nobody was running more Wildcat than him. Nobody was using more backs than him. You make a case Drew Brees probably doesn't. There's kind of like a notion that Sean Payton saved him. He's a good player before, but he's a guy who is not like closed-minded, and he doesn't want to be in jumbo. So how much jumbo do we see? Do we see it work? Like, is it really just an adjustment? You got to make do with what you got. The old Sugarfoot theory that I have, maybe. But it's in a perfect world, it's not something that you want to do. So we saw it 26 times last week. It'll be interesting to see how many times we see it this week with the Texans. And it'll also be interesting to see the chess match between DeMeco Ryans and Sean Payton, who've met 7 times, 4 times player versus coach, 1 time head coach versus head coach, and that ended with the interception in the end zone by Jimmy Ward. So that will be one chess match that we'll be keeping an eye on. I think DeMeco's obviously got a defense. He's not bringing a knife to a gunfight. So I think he's got his guys. Sean Payton's got his guys. DeMeco's guys do things well, and Sean Payton's guys do things well. This is an elite matchup. This is a main event matchup right here. 2 very respected guys in the NFL. One of the most respected defensive guys, one of the most respected offensive guys. And it's also kind of unique because DeMeco Ryans, they basically said, not basically, it's direct quotes, that the Texans offense is simple. I don't know whether that's good or bad from a Bo Nix point of view. You don't have to be simple or exotic. There's no right way. Like, defenses come in different forms. There can be exotic, there can be simple. But there's also some quarterbacks that get more confused when things are exotic versus simple. When a defense is simple, that means that you trust your guys. That means that likely you have the best edge duo in the league and you have the best cornerback duo in the league. So you're not having to do too many crazy things. Like, the Texans are near the bottom of the league in stunts. Seattle's near the top. Denver's kind of somewhere in between that on the defensive side. But that's what they mean when they say simple. Now, the question is, when Bo Nix struggles, is it because exotic? Is it simple? Who knows? But it's really just the notion that the Broncos are putting out there. And I don't know if DeMeco would love this. I don't know if any coach would really love this, is the players are going to line up and they're going to have to whoop the guy's ass in front of them. And we've heard DeMeco talk about that when it comes to offense before. And he said, you got to win your one-on-one matchup. Well, what if they're not capable? He didn't really explain that well. That was kind of when the Caserio funk was hitting a peak, where he was just kind of being a weirdo at the podium at the time. I think those days probably a little bit behind. I think he's probably not overthinking it as much. But that was that. And I think on defense that will work. Offense, don't know. But we're talking about defense versus offense. This is going to be interesting matchups. Broncos receivers probably a little bit overrated. They're going to be without Mims though. And Stoots brought it up. Mims, if we want to get into the third phase, he's the only guy who's returned a punt for Denver. I think he's an underrated guy. I liked him in the Tank Dell draft, the CJ draft, the 2023. Big fan of his game, but he's not going to be there. And then Cortland Sutton, you really don't know what you're going to get. Like, sometimes it's 2 touchdowns, sometimes it's like 1 catch with Cortland Sutton. Just a solid, consistent player. I'm sure Sean Payton likes it, and they like to spread the ball out. They're also getting to where they like to use multiple backs, which you know how I feel about that. J.K. Dobbins, Pro Bowl caliber season right now. I just feel like the Texans can handle that. And then Harvey, that's something else to keep an eye on. They're starting to get a little bit creative with him. And that was always the notion leading up to the draft, was Sean Payton's going to get one of these backs, whether it was Jaden Blue, Smith from SMU that the Chiefs got, or Harvey or something like that, maybe even Marks, that he was going to use as his, I forget what he calls it, whatever back. And Harvey, it kind of feels like he's getting comfortable in doing that. I saw him say the other day when he called a play, I knew that was a touchdown. So Sean Payton's getting comfortable. The DeMeco-Sean Payton matchup will be interesting. But, I mean, when they say they don't do a lot, but they do it well, I wonder if they like what they see on tape and it's just as simple as going up there, because that is simple. I mean, they said it was simple. DeMeco said football's simple. And they're saying that it's simple. That's going to be an interesting matchup. Then we have the other one. I don't know how people feel about this one. This one isn't awesome. We'll get to the practice reports in a sec. We'll hear from an offensive lineman. We'll get ready for college football, which, by the way, YouTube TV customers, my God, how about ESPN just kind of partnering with other streaming services and then having their top talent tell you to contact YouTube TV and say what's up, man. What a stooges activity they are pulling there. That is disgusting. That is a rough one. Just up the price, we're good. But ESPN is going dirty. Vance Joseph versus Nick Caley. You got to give Vance Joseph the edge. He's got more experience. He pressures the quarterback, but he will be without his best player. So there is a but when it comes to Denver. I think the Texans offense doesn't have the benefit of the doubt. So you always kind of lean towards the worst case scenario. That's been that way for 2 years. Like, I know there's a new OC with Nick Caley and Bobby, so it just looks the same. It looks the same. The result looks the same. The lack of creativity looks the same. They haven't beat a good team. As soon as they beat a good team, everything changes. Like, if they win this game tomorrow, and what are we looking at? We're looking at 24, 26. 30 hours from now, we're talking about a win. Everything can change because you beat a good team and you're 500 and your goals are in front of you, and you beat a team that is right there that you're probably going to be competing with the playoffs. Everything can change. But fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, not happening. There's no fool me twice when it comes to Nick Caley. You saw what happened against Tennessee and Baltimore, and then you thought maybe something good was going to happen. No, thank you. You saw what happened against Seattle. He's got to prove it. He's got to prove it. He's got to go out there and look competent, and the offense has to look competent, and you can't leave the offensive lineman on an island. So we'll see what that looks like. There is an opportunity. Their best player is out, and you're getting weapons back. So let's see what they do and what they got going. Jake Andrews be a big part of that. I hope Jake Andrews didn't eat too much Halloween candy yesterday. Alpha Aaron got a little loose with Jake Andrews, but here's him starting to talk about the interior guys. We don't talk a lot about the interior guys in Denver. Here's what Jake had to say about them.
They all can rush. Usually when you play teams, they got one edge guy. Oh, they got two edge guys. Well, they all can rush and they can all affect the passer. So it's going to be on every single one of us, all five, to make sure that we're doing our job and handling the rushes the right way.
When you have success like you guys did last week, how easy is it to kind of reinforce what went right and kind of fix the little small things after a successful win?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier to learn after a win for sure. I think we can't let the beginning of the season just kind of go by and forget that ever happened. We need to learn from that stuff as well, and we have. I think that's why you saw what you saw last Sunday. We just got to continue to build on it. All the cliches, but they mean something at the end of the day, whether how much you say them or don't say them. And we got a job to do, and we got to keep learning and growing and doing a better job.
Jake, you said you got a good Halloween costume.
Yeah.
Which gets it out?
Bandit from Bluey. My wife will be Miss Rachel, and my
Hey,
daughter's
bro.
gonna be Minnie Mouse. That's her favorite. She says Minnie. So, yeah, it's going to be fun.
Favorite Halloween candy?
I like the little mini Kit Kats. Just the mini ones, the small ones. I like those ones. Those are really good.
How much younger does he look without a mustache?
A lot younger. A lot
bad
younger.
look. It's for a Halloween costume, though.
Oh, is it? What is it?
Halloween costume.
Bluebell fudge pop coat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the creepy dude at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. That's awesome.
So with the, you talked about learning. It feels like it's kind of a similar opportunity for y'all that y'all had against Seattle, where you're facing a good team, you're trying to get back up to 500. Why do you think y'all are perhaps better equipped this time around than against Seattle?
I don't think I can give you a direct answer. I mean, there's obviously different things you could point at that might give you something, but I'm not going to validate any of those. I mean, bye week, whatever. At the end of the day, we all have to go out there and execute and do our job and play disciplined football, and that's the goal this week. We've got to get back to doing that. We had a good step forward against the 49ers doing that, and we got to, like I said earlier, continue to build on it.
Is Bluey the best show to watch as a granddad?
I'm telling you right now, it's actually got some funny stuff.
No,
in
it's
there.
funny.
If
It's
you
got
really
a
pay
Family Guy
attention.
vibe if you really watch it.
If you really pay attention, it's got some good stuff. I really enjoy it.
I think they were high when they did it. But,
Yeah,
no doubt. It makes for good shows.
There you go. It's Jake Andrews. We'll see. And look, a lot of people are saying, we're focusing on the guards. Jake Andrews hadn't been that good. He's got to be better too. But we know the Broncos do two things well. They protect the QB, which is kind of a big part of the Texans' superpower. We've only seen Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter get a sack in the same game once this year. They can't eat at the same table. When they go to a restaurant together, they get two tables for one. And they rush the passer, which can completely blow things up when it comes to the Texans offense. It's reality. And maybe the Texans can figure it out. Maybe they can't. Maybe Vegas knows something. Maybe we're overthinking it. Maybe it's as simple as that's what that is. But that is something that we've heard. And again, we go back to Bo Nix and Sean Payton. They called the Texans defense good but basic. Direct quote. Good but basic. They basically said it's a basic bitch defense. They didn't say that, but you know what I mean. But as we go through the advantages, I think there is some nuance, and there's like, this is kind of the life that we've lived in the 3 years with CJ Stroud as quarterback. I think there's a lot of times where CJ Stroud faces an opposing quarterback, and if all things were equal, I don't think the opposing head coach would hesitate to trade his guy for CJ. Like, as much as Bo Nix and Sean Payton have a dynamic, I think Sean Payton would be very glad to give up Bo Nix for CJ Stroud. Let's be serious. But I also think that when you talk about Bo Nix, he has Sean Payton, CJ Stroud has Nick Caley. Advantage Nix. He has some of the best protection in the league. CJ Stroud's is very inconsistent. And quite frankly, the rankings could kind of be skewed by games against pretty bad teams. He has an awesome running back duo. The Texans have the ghost of Nick Chubb, and they have Woody Marks. I think you can make a case maybe CJ has better receivers, but it's a complicated thing when you start talking about quarterback matchups, especially with CJ Stroud. The other thing is, I think in some situations, Bo Nix might be better than CJ Stroud. Like, I think there's times where CJ Stroud gets rid of the ball quickly, but it's not a consistent thing. I also think Bo Nix is consistently more willing to use his legs than CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud's, you can make a case, is as good as Bo Nix when it comes to using his legs. I don't know that he does it as consistently as he can. So a lot of times when we talk about these matchups, the quarterback matchup, it's always just a little bit more complicated for sure. The next thing that we need to keep an eye on is Woody Marks. So he appeared on the injury report briefly, and then he was off the injury report. That was an interesting development along with Dalton Schultz. So we got to monitor what Woody Marks looks like and what Dalton Schultz looks like. Two of the three most important skill guys, in my opinion. The matchup with the rookie running backs, Harvey versus Marks, they were kind of in the same range that us draft nerds were talking about. It's an interesting matchup for the draft nerds. And this is a crucial dub for both teams. Denver's got to keep ground from Kansas City. They know Kansas City's coming. We all know Kansas City's coming. Kansas City could very well lose this week. They're not going to have Pacheco. They're going against Buffalo. They could lose. Denver's got to keep that ground up. They got a head start, much like Indianapolis. I think the Texans aren't very much, they don't appear to be much of a threat to catch Indy right now, but the Chiefs seem like a pretty big threat to catch the Broncos, and they've got to keep the heat up. The AFC West is pretty wild. So there's that. And the real question, this is what we got to go back to. This is what we'll talk about on the post-game show, which, by the way, that's going to be tomorrow, 4:45 after I get back from the stadium. Can Nico Collins produce with Surtain out? Can he eat? There's trust issues there. It should be a no-brainer. It shouldn't even be a damn question. But the reality with where we are and what's going on is it is. But I can't wait to cover this game. I can't wait to react to this game. I can't wait to talk about this game. And it's going to be a fun one. This is what it's all about. It's going to be interesting to see how much orange is there tomorrow, too. Lot of gold and red last week. What does it look like this week? This is going to be a big one. I'm excited for it. Be sure to subscribe, like, ride along. Get ready for this game. Enjoy college football. If you have to adjust with the YouTube TV, adjust accordingly. I don't frown upon any method of getting these games in your view. I might be heading to the bar right now, to be honest with you. Subscribe, like, ride along. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, We're all in it together. Happy Saturday and an even happier Sunday. Manana. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize.